The next thing that we are very concerned about are the coefficients, but mainly in the sign. So a positive number would mean a positive relationship between the two variables. So that means that winner is positively related with the age of death. In other words, if you end up winning an Oscar, you're gonna live for longer. And this value here, 5.4, 5.38, is the extra years that you're gonna live on average if you win an Oscar as an actor versus those that don't. So the key question that we're trying to solve, which is, do Oscar winners live 5 years or longer, seems to be right. This is the first one of the first conclusions that we may arrive with our model. Now, how confident are we about this value? The next thing we need to take a look at is at the p-values, and we said that whenever you face a variable with a p-value higher than 5%, because you can interpret that p-value is the chance of being mistaken, then that variable is not statistically significant. In this case, winner has a p-value of 1%, which means that it's statistically significant. So there is high chances of this coefficient being right. And this is also confirmed by the confidence interval at the 95% confidence level. Look what we have here. We have that on average, an Oscar winner will live 5.38 years longer, and 95% of the time it will live somewhere between 1.3 up to 9.4 years. So these two goes hand by hand. If you have a low p-value, then you have a confidence interval that does not include 0 as part of the bounds. Why are we particularly concerned about 0? Let's analyze nominee now. If you're a nominee, whether you win the Oscar or not, your life expectancy is 2.61 years or higher. Now, this has a high p-value, 24% chances of this value being mistaken. This is the way you could interpret this. Or the 95% confidence level for this value could be anywhere between minus 1.8 to plus 7.01 years. In other words, if you're a nominee, it could be at the 95% confidence level that you live less than those that are not nominee. 0, because 0 is part of the range, meaning there could be no relationship whatsoever between being a nominee and the age in which you're gonna die. Or it could be positively related. If you're a nominee, you're gonna live longer. And this is because 0 is part of this interval, which makes us believe that maybe there is no relationship at all. It could be negative. If you're a nominee, you live less. It could be 0, no relationship at all. Or it could be positive. If you get a nomination, you live longer. So we are not very sure about the accuracy of this variable. And as I said before, p-value and the confidence intervals, they always go hand by hand. A p-value higher than 5% will imply that the variable is not statistically significant and that 0 is part of the 95% confidence interval. Whenever you have a case like that, you need to be wary of your model, because this variable, in this case nominee, is bringing some noise into our model, and we may not be, maybe it shouldn't be there. How do you know that? How do you know if you should get rid of the variable? After finding a high p-value, you need to make a thorough analysis of your business or the situation you're trying to forecast or to understand, and think if the variable should really be there. The first thing is the variable really related? Is the variable related to the one that you're trying to predict? In this case, we're talking about actors and how famous they are and how fame could impact their chance of living longer. So this is why nominee sounds to be relevant to the model. So we could find a relationship between famous and being a nominee of an Oscar. So that's why that doesn't make it look weird. The problem with nominee is that it's related with winner. So that's the second step. The second step in checking whether your variable should or should not be there is if you think it could be related with any of the other variables. So in this case, nominee we know is related to winner, because in order to be a winner, you need to be a nominee in the first place. So when that happens, we call multicolinearity two variables that are part of X, of the explanatory variables, are related with one with the other, and one of them will have a high p-value, and overall that variable should not be there. So in this case, we found multicolinearity between winner and nominee, and because nominee has a high p-value, we should consider excluding it. Now let's analyze female, because female also has a high p-value, actually higher than nominee, which in consequence means that 0 is going to be part of the range, which you can see here, minus 0.363 all the way to 3.45 could be the value. So it could be negative relationship if you're a female, how many years you're going to live. It could be no relationship at all, or it could be a positive relationship. Now, is this variable relevant in the model? Well, I would tend to think yes, because we do know from other studies that gender does have an impact in your life expectancy. So it sounds reasonable to keep it there. However, the p-value is extremely high, so that makes us doubt a little bit. On the other hand, female is not related to any of the others. It's not related to born, it's not related to winner, it's not related to nominee. So we can discard the multicolinearity issue. We definitely don't have multicolinearity here. This is not the reason why we have a high p-value. It's mainly because the variable itself may not be as relevant as the others to predict the age of death. When you find those cases, it's really a judgment decision from you to keep it or to take it out from the model. If you know that a variable really drives your business, you should consider keeping it, even if it has a high p-value. And if you were doubtful about the variable having an impact in your business, and then you find a result like this, a very high p-value, 0 being part of the confidence interval, then maybe you want to consider taking it out, because maybe your assumption about what drives your business was wrong. So this is a very good way to test how accurate your business intuition is when you're trying to model something in real life in business. I'm going to keep it because I really think gender has an impact. But I'm going to remove nominee, and let's see what happens.